Welcome back to Basic Business Training 1, and our session today we will be looking at marketing and customer satisfaction. I hope since the last time that we met you were able to begin doing some tracking of the income and expenses in your business and the work that you are doing. And if you are not owning a business and running a business, at least doing it in your home and with your personal family budget, it would be great to get started, encourage each other, and ask each other how you're doing with this. And so today we want to look at marketing and customer satisfaction. And if you remember the structure that we had of the business, we spent the first amount of time looking at the foundation of the business, making sure that that was solid. Then we spent time looking at the walls of our business and how to protect our business to make sure it's secure. And then we spent some time on pricing, on framing in one of the windows. And then this last time we spent looking at the roof and making sure that we have a solid roof on our business. Now we want to come back to our doors and our windows and look at the door, which is customer satisfaction, of course. We need customers for our business to run. And the other window, which is marketing, and that's how people come to know that we even have a business and what it is doing. But before we get into this time, I want to just briefly look at the parable of the talents, which you can read through on your own on Matthew 25, verses 14 through 30. And it's such an excellent parable that talks to us about this idea of multiplication and the idea of being entrusted with things and that we are to take them and we are to expand them. And of course, this parable, the owner is entrusting the servants with different amounts. To one servant, he gives 5 talents. To another one, he gives 2. And to the last one, he gives 1 talent. And one of the questions that I think we have to ask ourselves is, why is it that the king, that the owner, gives different talents to different people? And of course, it says that it depends on their abilities. And I wonder how that was discerned. And I wonder which of those servants would I be? Would I be one that was entrusted with 5? Would I be one that was entrusted with 2? Would I be one that was entrusted with 1? And would it matter to me which one I would be? And which one would I actually like to be? Would I like to be the one that is given much? Because, of course, to whom much is given, much is also required. And then the parable goes on to talk about the king returning, or the master returning and is collecting the talents from those servants. And the one servant that had 5 had turned it into 10. He had doubled it. The second one, who had received 2, also doubled it and was able to return 4. And so what we think about is it wasn't so much that that the one had to expand from 2 all the way to 10 to double it, but doubling it by itself was a good thing. There was productivity, there was an addition, there was being fruitful and multiplying, as we see in Genesis 1:28. But the third one, of course, is the one we like to focus on, and what was going on with that person. What I think is interesting is that the talent that this person was given, it wasn't squandered. It wasn't wasted. It wasn't taken and used for selfish gain or gone out for their own entertainment. It was buried. It was protected, but it was not multiplied. And, of course, what we want to think through is, what is it that God has given us, and what is it that we are sitting on that we are not wasting, we are not squandering, but we are also not using and multiplying. And, of course, the thing in this parable is that when the master comes back and he says to those who have multiplied their talents, he says, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things." And that caught me often, because I thought, I would want, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Come on in, sit down, put your feet up. We'll have servants attend you." And instead, the reward is, you have been faithful with a few things, I will put you in charge of many. Because in God's perspective, from God's perspective, work is good and being responsible is good, and it gives us joy and it gives us energy, and there's contentment when we are doing something that God has made us to do. And so we have to think about, what has God given you to do? What are the talents that he has put in your hands? We need to use those gifts and talents to do our business and every aspect of our life, even if it requires risk. That third one didn't want to take risk. They were not willing to risk time, their talent, their energy in order to put that talent to work. Doing business is risky. And we know many, many businesses fail, especially the first time through. And what saddens me sometimes is that people will say, I tried to do business. I tried once and I failed, and I thought I'm not doing that again. 4 out of 5 businesses will fail within the first 5 years. And so part of doing business is taking that risk, and we can't view it as a failure because we will have learned one way not to do business. And of course, we all know the story of Edison and making the light bulb, and what happened after many, many, many times of trying and failing. He said, well, I learned how not to do it 99 times, and the 100th time I was able to do it. Now, our prayer is not that you fail in business 99 times, but that you recognize it's a learning experience, that doing business is risky, but risk is part of the learning. And if we don't risk, we will not make progress. So it is risky not to take risks, because God is going to ask you, what did you do with the talent that I had in your hand? And if your answer is, I did nothing out of fear, that fear is not from God, and we need to pray through that. And so you can talk with others about that as well. So this text is asking us, as we look at marketing, what does it mean to multiply our business? As we look at marketing and increasing customers and increasing our business, is there a way to do it that honors God? Is there a way to do it that dishonors God? And so what does it mean to multiply our business through marketing and to do it in God's way? What are examples of doing marketing man's way? Can you think of examples that you have seen in marketing and you thought, I'm not really sure about that one and what that they're trying to communicate? Can a marketing strategy honor God and exalt him as the owner? And can a marketing strategy dishonor God? And I'm sure, like me, you are thinking of different examples that you have seen of marketing that made you think, I'm not so sure that this is godly. I remember being in a capital city in a nation in West Africa, and there was a very big billboard with a beautiful car on it, and the billboard said, "You are what you drive." And I looked at that billboard and I thought, that is offensive to me. I'm not what I drive. I am who God made me, and I am a beautiful person made in the image of Christ. And if I happen to like driving a car that's older because it's efficient and because I can save money, you cannot judge me by the car that I drive. And so we have to be careful with some of these smart messaging that we are not offending people in the process. A lot of marketing schemes are schemes that promise things that they can't deliver. And that's something that we have to think about. Are you trying to sell a product and saying that it's going to do something, and realistically you know you can't do it? A lot of people say that we have the best, Indian food in the nation. Well, it's only the best because maybe your mother said it was the best, and now you can claim that customers have told us that it's the best Indian food in the nation. And so we have to think about what we are saying and what people who are hearing it will think. Remember that God is the owner of the business, and so God is a God of truth. And as the owner, he wants you also to not get customers in dishonest ways, but to get them in honest ways and to tell the truth of the business. So in this session, we want to look at using your brain more than your back. A lot of business people that I know, they are hard workers. And I imagine as you're listening to this, if you're doing business, you are a hard worker. You get up early, you work late, you may work 6 full days in a week. And we often see that people are breaking their back to do their work. Marketing means that you need to start using your brain more than your back. You need to carve out time not only to do your finances, but to also plan your marketing so that you can see the growth that you are hoping to see in your business. It's about working smarter, not harder. How can you work smarter? By paying attention to your customers, by paying attention to the service that they are receiving, by paying attention to your employees. And one thing we do know is that people don't like to be sold, but they do like to buy. People don't like to make it feel like you are really pushing something down their throat, but they do like to enter into the transaction and have some power and control over that. And so there is a delicate kind of a dance to how we do marketing and how we interact with people. I have a quiz that I'm going to give you right now, and I hope you have a pen handy, and I'm going to ask you to write down the answers to this quiz, and I will tell you the answers at the end. But the very first question on this quiz is, who is the most important person in your business? All right, so take a second, write that down. The second question is, who pays your employees? The third question, who designs your product and your services? And the fourth question, who determines when it's time to grow the company to the next level? All right, so these are all questions that are very, very important for us to know and to be on the same page about in terms of what the answer is or what the answers are. And I just gave you a clue there. I said what the answer is because there's actually only one answer. Who is the most important person in your business? The customer. The customer is the most important person in the business. Sometimes people will say, well, I am the owner. No, you are there to serve the customer because you would not have a business if it wasn't for the customer. Who pays your employees? The customer ultimately pays your employees because it is from the customers that you get your money. They don't pay them directly, but without the customers, you would not be able to pay your employees. Third, who designs your products and your services? Well, maybe you said, well, I do this one. Again, it's usually the customers. You may have started out in some area, but when a customer comes in and says, I really like that, but do you have it in this color? Or have you done one that has this design or have this on it? And business people are problem solvers. They want to solve the problem and meet that need, and so they will very quickly say, no, but I know that I can get one. Give me a call in 2 days and I'll have it here for you. So customers help design our products and our services because they are telling us what they need, and if we're paying attention, and we can be flexible and pivot in those ways to meet those needs. Who determines when it's time to grow the company to the next level? Again, no surprise, it's the customer. Sometimes we make a decision to start a business in another area or to grow to the next level, but we really haven't done the math. We haven't looked at our marketing strategy and our customers to determine whether the time is right. It's the customers that will make the demands that will cause us to go to the next level. So if there's nothing else that you get out of this session, it's to remember how important the customer is. Often we start a business with good intentions. We're going to be there for the customer, but it doesn't take long for us to forget about the customer and begin to focus on the profit and on ourselves. And that is where a business often will go astray, because when we forget to remember why we are doing the business, whether you are a Christian or not, and remember, as Christians, we said from God's perspective, the purpose for doing business is to help the customer flourish. When we forget that and we begin to focus on profit, we often go on a different road than what the customer is looking for, and it ends up hurting our business in the end. I hope you have this picture in front of you. There's a picture that is one of my favorites, and it says that satisfied customers tell 3 friends, angry customers tell 3,000. Satisfied customers tell 3 people. We don't brag about good service. That's what we expect to get when we go to a business. But we love to tell the story about the business that did us wrong. Did I ever tell you about the time that I went to this business? And those are the stories we love to share. And then that story gets told somebody else. Yeah, my friend told me about this time that he went to this place. It grows like wildfire. And so all you need is one unhappy customer, and suddenly 3,000 people are knowing about it. And probably with social media, it's even faster than that if they are courageous enough to name the name of the business. And so customer satisfaction is a key ingredient in the success or the failure of a business. It's important because, of course, running a business without customers is impossible. Satisfied customers generate repeat sales, increased sales, and more customers. In other words, satisfied customers means satisfied business owners. A recent study showed that customers stop buying from a particular business for the following reasons, and I think you will be very interested to see this, to hear this. In a particular business, you would lose a customer 1% of the time because they die. Well, there's not much you can do about that. 3% of your customers you will lose because they move away. Again, not much you can do about that. 5% because they form other interests and so they no longer have a need for what you are doing. 9%, only 9% leave for competitive reasons. Somebody else does the same service better than what you are doing. 14% will leave for product dissatisfaction. They're not happy with what you are actually serving or producing for them. But 68% of customers are lost because someone was rude, indifferent, or discourteous to them. 68% of customers are lost for that reason. And we might think that doesn't happen to me. In fact, when we look at the structure of the business, the picture that we show, and we ask people, which one do you do well? Almost everybody that I talk to says, customer satisfaction, we do that very well. But that is where we are losing the majority of our customers. And sometimes it's not us as the owner. As the owner, we are very invested in our customers. It may be our employees who are turning customers away because of their attitude or their indifference. And so that is why an important part of marketing and customer satisfaction is also focusing on our employees. So we have to understand our customers' needs. We have to understand our customers, and we have to use our brain more than our back in order to come to that understanding. And so that is why it's important in this type of a session, again, that you do the work that is in your workbook and you answer some of those questions that you will find there that will help you assess who are your customers, why are they shopping with you, what is it that they really need. And the thing that we have to think about is that customers want benefits. They often don't want the products. And I think that's an interesting thing to think about. Customers want the benefits, they don't want the products. For example, I may need a hammer, but I don't actually want the hammer. I want what the hammer can do. I'm not going to hang the hammer in my living room and show everybody the hammer when they come over. I want the hammer that's going to hit the nail that's going to hold my house secure. If I buy body lotion, again, I'm not putting body lotion on display. I want softer skin that comes as a result of the body lotion. So what are the needs that your customers are trying to meet, and how does your product satisfy those needs? The second thing to understand about your customer is the customer is the person that pays you, but it may be different than the person who actually uses the product, what we would call the end user. So for example, if I am buying Pampers for a baby, the baby is the end user, but the parent is the customer. Well, now you have a bit of a dilemma for marketing. Are you marketing for the baby? Are you marketing for the parent? And of course, ultimately, you want to market for both. You need to convince the parent that this diaper is going to be comfortable, that it's going to hold everything in that you want it to hold in. And as the customer, they also want to know that the price is right for what they are receiving. And so you have to keep the end user and the customer in mind. And what's critically important is that we learn to keep our best customers. Keeping our best customers is cheaper and easier to do than acquiring new customers. In fact, most companies lose about 25% of their customers every year, and acquiring a new customer costs 5 times the amount to maintaining an existing customer. And that's something that we forget. We often think that marketing, that doing marketing and advertising is all about getting the new customers, and we neglect the ones that are right there. I was living in West Africa in a capital city, and there was a store right around the corner from my house that I would go to buy my provisions, just the small things that I needed. And I decided after some time that this was going to be the store that I would shop at, and I went there and I learned the names of the people that worked there, but they never took an interest in me. I ended up shopping there for about 2 years, and after about 3 or 4 months, I was thinking, you know what, I asked them how their day is, and they give me short answers, and I wondered, are they ever going to be interested in who I am and even ask me my name? Not once in 2 years. I ended up continuing to go to that store because I was stubborn and really wanted to see, would they ever be interested? And they were not. Now, this is a story about an angry customer telling 3,000 people, because I don't know how many of you are going to hear this story. But my point is that if they had worked hard to keep me as a customer, I would have been more loyal and even told more people about them. And so what we have to remember is that it costs a lot more money, a lot more time to get new customers than to pay attention of the ones we have, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. We also need to identify then our best customers. 25% of your customers account for 95% of your revenues in typical businesses. That's amazing to think about. 25% of your customers account for 95% of your revenues. They are the repeat customers. They become loyal to you. They start to bring other people in as well. And that is where we want to focus attention. Talking to customers is a must. Building relationship is now called relationship marketing. We have to be involved in relationship marketing. We have to be talking to people. We have to be learning their names. We have to find out about their lives. Often now when you go into a store, they will say, as they enter it onto their screen, if they have that, they will ask you for your birthday, and they will want to know things about you because they're engaged in relationship marketing. And so are you doing that with your customers? We also want to be able to reward our best customers, and there's many different ideas for how to reward people. There's a frequency awards, meaning if you come to my shop 5 times, I might stamp a card each time you come, and the 6th time you will get something for free. Now, one thing that I think is universal is that everybody likes free things. I remember I had a card like that, and I was at 9 times, and at the 10th time I was going to get something for free. And even though there were other places that were closer, I was going to drive to that place because I wanted that free thing. And so those are some things that we can think about to attract and keep loyal customers as you are developing a relationship with them. We also have to understand the barriers for our customers. Cost. Can I wait in order to get it? Is it urgent that I have it? Is that a barrier that they will face? Am I worried that it will not work, or that it's going to fail, or that it's not going to work for me? And so again, understanding what the customer wants, understanding the barriers that they have, allows you to be able to address those things better. There are some common mistakes that we make in customer satisfaction. Often we think that customer satisfaction, that the interaction relates only when the customer asks a question. And of course, the interaction starts for the customer before they even enter the store. The perception of the outside of the store, entering the store, a greeting that is had or not had, how the store looks, all of that becomes part of customer interaction. Sometimes we think customer satisfaction is only about the price. Will they like the price? And again, as I just said, it's much bigger than that. Thinking that it's only about the way the shop looks. Forgetting that customer satisfaction doesn't end when the customer leaves the product and takes the product and leaves the store, but it continues on as they are using the product. Every time they use it, they are interacting with you in some way, and you want that way to be positive, which is why having cheap products or products that have a lower quality or not giving your customer what they want, you may think that you got them, that you got the sale, but in the end, it will end up hurting you. There's a description of somebody who has spent thousands of dollars on marketing on a particular beverage, a soda, that they have people walking down the streets wearing that soda can. They have it on cars. They have it on buildings. They have put a lot of money into marketing this particular soft drink. But in the restaurant, there is an outdoor cafe sitting there, and 2 women are sitting there. The second woman joins, and the waiter comes up and says, "What will you have to drink?" And the woman does not look at all the marketing around her, but rather looks at what her friend has and says, "I'll have what she's having." The power of the relationship. We respond to what our friends, our trusted people in our networks enjoy, and that is who we go to for referrals. And so customer satisfaction, again, goes beyond even the customer using the product to the customer recommending the product to other people. So what makes up customer satisfaction? A reliable product and a service. The right product at the right price. And so those 2 things are very important. Third, a pleasant environment in which to shop. There are places that you go into, and I understand the need for security in stores, but there are places that I go into and I feel like people are watching so closely over my shoulder or following me that I almost feel like a criminal in that place. And so you want to pay attention to the customers, but you also want to give them enough space so that they can shop without it being a problem. And then, of course, you want employees who are able to be helpful, who are able to give the right amount of attention, and be able to answer the questions with good knowledge. And so there are 5 different words that we want to look at for the definitions of customers and to figure out for ourselves where it is that we will be spending our time and attention. The first type of customer is somebody we would call a suspect. And it is somebody that we suspect could be a customer someday, and that is usually the thousands upon thousands of people that may be in our cities or in our towns that they could potentially be a customer. We call them suspects. Prospects are now where we have taken those pool of suspects and we have narrowed it down to the prospects who might actually want our service. Maybe they fit our typical customer, so in terms of gender or in terms of age or in terms of education level or in terms of family size. We narrow that down to prospects. From there now, we want to narrow that pool down even further to those who are actually customers or can become customers. And that's where we begin to target people. And those are from the prospects, those who really now live in the proximity or can frequent the proximity to become a customer for us. From there, we want to develop our customers into clients. And those are people who buy repeatedly and regularly from you. And that is what you want to move, those customers to clients, because they have learned that you are a person of trust, you are a person of integrity. When you have the product that they need, they know that they will be able to get it from you. Maybe you are calling them and saying, hey, we just got a shipment in, I just wanted you to know. And they know that they are a client of yours. The last one, and this is the goal that we want to get to, is a partner. And that is somebody who will only buy from you and will tell all of their friends to buy from you as well. And so that is the continuum. And sometimes we spend all of our time on the suspects. And we are just throwing the word out there and doing the radio or the TV and putting a lot of money into it. But we are not taking care of our customers and helping them move to the client or to the partner level. It's cheaper and it's easier to spend time on your customers. After all, a smile is free. A phone call doesn't cost very much. Paying attention does take time and energy and some discipline, but it can grow your business and it can reduce the cost of marketing. There are some rules that we need to think about as we are looking at marketing. And the first one is the rule of the ruler. The rule of the ruler. And what that's saying is that you cannot delegate the passion and the vision that you have for your business to somebody else. If you are the owner, you are going to need to be engaged in marketing. You can have somebody who is doing the marketing, who is putting it together, but they will never have the passion and the energy that you, as the founder, as the person who started it, who has a real heart's desire for this to be successful, that you will bring to that. And so remember the rule of the ruler. The next is what is called the 10-30-60 rule, and the 10-30-60 is about energy. Where do you apply your energy? Well, you need to put 10% of your energy in talking to everyone, 30% of your energy in convincing people to become your customer, but 60% of your energy to current customers. And so that's a good rule of thumb to think about in terms of marketing. 60% of our marketing time is going to go to those current customers. 30% of that time is to looking at those prospects and helping them become customers. And only 10% of our time might be thrown out to suspects way out there. The last one is also another number, and it is the 1-10-100 expense rule. And the idea here is that you will only spend $1 to communicate with your staff in how to do marketing, in customer service. It will only cost you $1. It doesn't cost much money at all to make customer satisfaction part of every person's job description, from security to maintenance to cleaning to cashiers to stock people, whatever it is that people are doing. It doesn't cost much to train them in customer satisfaction. And it will save you a lot of money as it relates to customers. So that $1 for talking with your staff, it can be equivalent to $10 communicating with the trade or the industry that you are in. And that is, again, a missed opportunity that we sometimes have to join those associations for whether it's dairy cows or whether it's a poultry association or whether it is a maize association. talking to other people in the industry and learning to communicate and sharing what you are doing, building those relationships is also going to help in the marketing of your business. And so $1 for your staff compares to $10 for those within your trade, which can compare to the $100 that you would spend on trying to communicate with all of those suspects. And so again, starting close to home with the customers that you have, with your own people who are working with you, is the best, the most affordable, and the most effective. And isn't that a great thing? The best thing to do is also the most affordable thing to do and the most effective thing to do. And so we encourage you to look very closely at that. Always make sure that the staff who come in contact with customers are well trained to handle them. We have to remember that the customer is always right. Now, this one makes people uncomfortable because they say, you know, the customer is not always right. And I know the customer is not always right, but the customer is always right. That is the motto that we stand by, because the customer is expecting us to be able to provide products and services that will help them to flourish. And if they do not feel like they are flourishing, we at least need to look and listen and hear what they are saying. And so we have to have that attitude and that perspective that the customer is right, because our goal is to serve the customer. Now, you may have customers who are abusive. You may have customers who are even dangerous for the staff, and those are the very small minority. So in general, by the majority, we want to take the position that the customer is right, because it is the customer that we are here to serve and to help them flourish. It is the extent to which a product or service is perceived that matches the customer's expectation that brings us to customer satisfaction. So if they expect that they will have softer skin from a skin lotion, and that happens, then we have customer satisfaction. And so we have to think again of what the customer's perception is. How well you sell depends on your skills and can make the difference between success and failure. So you have to know your customer, know their needs, know how to treat the customers, and know your products and services and how to sell them. We want to treat customers the way you want to be treated. And the good news or the bad news is if you are not doing customer service very well, it's okay, because your competitors will take care of them if you do not. They will find another place that they can go. But our hope and our desire is that you will take some of these suggestions and recommendations and begin to look at the customers you have and the people that you have who are working with you, and find a way to provide excellent customer service for the flourishing of your customer, the flourishing of the business, the flourishing of you and your family as you do this work. So talk with each other, have a discussion about how you can do this better, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much. God bless.